Hi guys, as you can see it's me Scrivo. Welcome to Angels of Death. It was meant to be a show I was launching before the data slate, but as soon as I got murmurings there was going to be a data slate, I thought I'll hold fire and do videos about just Space Marines once there was points changes, because obviously I can't say this is what I would do, this is what I'd do with this unit, and then it turns out it's all gibberish like a week later. It just feels a bit unkind to people giving them that video, it's being kind of short-lived. So instead, the first episode is going to be me going through the Balance Dataslate changes. Obviously it affects some detachments more than others. I think it's all, when you look at it kind of in the macro, it's all, for the health of the game, it's all good, positive changes. Obviously it feels bad when you have to suddenly remove 150 points out of your list, but maybe that list was on borrowed time. But right, here we go. So let's start where we need to go on. Right. So, the first of the big hitters, the Apothecary Biologist, has gone up to 70 points. That combined with a change later in the Gladius enhancements with Fire Discipline, going up to 40. It can sting. It was very much a take-all in every Gladius list I was seeing under the sun was a Biologist, 6 Eradicators in their little repulsor wagon, which was cool. Seeing it do very well, or do the job, more importantly, at WTC. I said I thought we might see that quite a bit. We have. Whether we'd seen it to a great success and it being an absolute problem, I would debate. It probably wasn't, but there we are. Assault Jump Intercessors, they've gone up to 90 points for 5. They've not changed the points for the 10s because, funnily enough, it was all the jerks like me taking 2 or 3 units of 5 of them as little action monkeys, going off and holding objectives and doing stuff. We're making it not so fun for the rest of people. So it's a bit of a nudge in the right direction. I'll still take the 2 units, so they haven't stopped me. They will never stop me. Right, next one, Ballistus Dreadnought. It's down to 130 points. It's now getting to that point where it's so cheap, do I just slap one in anyway when I got spare points? The interesting thing is, for 130 points you can get 3 Inceptors with plasma guns or with the twin-linked sort of bolt pistols with a 3-inch deep strike. So for those points you can squeeze in something that's utility-based, but if you're wanting a las cannon to missiles, maybe it's okay. I still think I'll end up taking a Lancer over it, because the extra 30 points you get rerolls that are not situational based on the strength of damage taken already on the unit shooting. So there's something there. Phobos Captain, it's gone down to 70 points. I have seen them being used. It's often in cute little Vanguard detachments where they go, right, I'm going to redeploy everything after we've deployed everything. Which is cool, don't get me wrong, but meh. It's obviously to make them slightly more enticing, but I don't think that will change how people are constructing, even like the Vanguard lists. It's the Phobos Scouts angle of it isn't what people are using it for, really, which is a shame. Right, Eradicators have gone up to 100. Or 200 for 6. I think this was justifiable. They are still very cheap for what they do, but when you kind of collate them with the Apothecary and the Repulsor, you're getting into the quarter of an army's kind of points. So it kind of then feels like, do I really want this? The answer is I'm still sticking it in my current draft lists. It means I might be losing some scoring or some other kind of threat pieces, but it does a thing very efficiently still, even for the points, I'd argue. I'm glad they didn't dunk it to the point where it's not usable, because then as a unit you'd feel bad, like you don't really want more units to go on the naughty step with the Desolation Marines, which are all but unplayable with how useless they felt when I used them recently. Right, next page, Heavy Intercessors are down to 95 for 5 or 190 for 10. I still think you'll take normal Intercessors. This does make the decision kind of there, like if you've got spare 5 points you could upgrade them. It gives you choice. I do think their ability to shrug off AP if they're on an objective is pretty useful. I'm not building lists because they've got it. Not when you've got something like normal Intercessors with sticky, or assault Intercessors with their reroll to wound natively, rerolling ones, or if your target's on an objective, rerolling all wounds. Those two feel very like impactful in games every time. This feels like once a game it might come up if I'm lucky. Then Invader ATV. I wish it was a war suit. A little teeny. Right, Invader ATV. It's gone down to 60 points. I think it's now edging towards the points that we were having at the beginning of the edition for things like attack bikes. They were 50 points, and you were finding people going, oh, I'm going to rapid ingress one in, or strat reserve one in, and just kind of cuts an angle. It's a little dinky base, or in their case, not a base, and just... It can be cutting an angle, shooting something with a multi-melter, or killing a little screen. There's a use to them. I think them being the cheapest non-character unit may make them an option to at least consider. I think the answer is it'll probably then be the last thing you put into your list, and the first thing to take out when you're trying to kind of save some points. But yeah, we'll see. Right, Victor Warsuit. Talking of things that I don't think we'll see. It's gone down. 125 points is now their go-to price. Yes, it's Phobos keyword. Yes, it can be redeployed with the Phobos captain, but why don't you just spend it on something else, like some infantry that can go around things, or a dreadnought that can survive a bit longer, or a tank that can shoot better? It's rough. I feel like they've very much given that data sheet the naughty step for what it did a good additional and so ago, but we'll see. And then the ATV in the Outrider squads gone down just to match its solo price, which makes sense, right? Reaver squads, they're down now to 75 points each. This is making them one of the cheapest infantry units that aren't scouts. They've got some cool tricks, don't get me wrong. They're deep strike, they ignore vertical distance when moving if they've got the grapnel launcher. It's some cool stuff, but they're just guys with combat blades. At least assault intercessors with jump packs have got chainsaws and chainswords, and then they've got like a power fist or something with them. But no, not so groovy. But it's a shame. I feel like they need a datasheet change for people to want to take them. Make them cheaper doesn't fix it. I've seen them used on the tabletop. It's a shame. Let's put it that way. It just didn't feel like they were really doing much more than a normal Primaris body was doing. But never mind. Speaking of bodies on the tabletop maybe actually seeing some play, Rabute Gilliman. He has gone to match the decrease in points that the Lion has of 285 points. He does a job. I think points for points, yes, he comes back. He potentially gets back up again. But compared to the Lion, he is a support piece. Very expensive support piece. But if you want to dunk him, you can dunk him. So I can see people trying to use him again. But when you put him and Calgar into a list, if you're trying to play an Ultramarines list, you quite quickly find that you're running out of points again. So I don't think he's quite in the Goldilocks spot for him yet. I think more that they need to add layers of value into his datasheet rather than putting the points down, perhaps. Right, next page. All three Storm Speeders have gone down. We were seeing the odd one, so I think it was the Thunderstrike we were seeing previously, because it was given +1 to wound once it hit a target. It's very much a gimmick that the minute you needed to save some points in a list, that was the thing that went. It relied on you been doing a lot of shooting perhaps as well, because the benefit was that. Going down to 115 for the Hail Strike, 125 for the Hammer Strike, and 150 for the Thunderstrike gets them in the right sort of ballpark, I think. I think people will take them if they've got them and they like using them. I can't see it becoming an option where people are bringing 3 of them, or a combination of the 3, and are suddenly going, ooh, because they are a very tall unit. They have to go around the way that the terrain is now kind of modelled because of how the game plays. They've got to manoeuvre around that stuff. They've got quite a big base. They're quite hard to hide as a result. So I can't see them being a thing that people are using aggressively and in multiple numbers. It's a shame, but we shall see. Suppressors have gone down to 75 points. They are a very uncommonly used unit. Their gun's okay, and it does make you -1 to hit once you've been hit by it until their next turn. I had to look this up yesterday because I was like, what is their thing still? It's just they cause you to be suppressed, which is it's cool. I think if we will see them, it will not be necessarily in vanilla Space Marine lists. I think it will be in Angelic Host Blood Angel lists, because they are jump pack keyword. So there's that interest there, but we'll see. Oh, and then Terminators, they've gone down in points for the Assault Terminators, are down to 180 for 5 or 360 for 10. And then the normal shooty ones are 170 and 340. I think, again, These guys are the poor cousins to your Deathwing Knights or any sort of flavoured tactical dreadnought armour units. I feel like the data sheets they're good, but they are still only 3 wound, toughness 5, or 4 wound if they've got storm shields. It's just you're living off whether they can make 5-ups, and that's not enough for a survivable unit, and they are still costly. Like 340 points for 10 dudes shooting essentially storm bolters, and then one of them could be a plasma cannon or an assault cannon. You've got lots of things that can do that sort of role already, so it's a shame. Yes, they can drop down, and if they drop down they ignore modifiers. That's fine, that's great. But if the targets they're shooting that are just chaff are -1 to hit, it's not the end of the world anyway. Like it's just like you're hitting on 4s instead. Maybe they're your oath target, you're re-rolling. Yeah, again, it doesn't feel as exciting. I feel it's in the right direction, but I think their data sheets probably need a little tweak. Their unique rules, I feel like there's something missing there that they need something that just makes it go, now I understand why I use them overtaking this combat unit or this shooting unit. But we'll see. Maybe next Dataslate they'll give them a nudge, because they have said that Codex Astartes Space Marines will be getting some sort of a consideration in the end of year slate. So maybe that will be detachment and some sheets. You never know. Right, and then the last page. So Vanguard Veterans have gone up to 110 for 5 or 220 for 10. Doesn't surprise me. We were seeing them across the board as an option to get other jump pack guys in. If they're going to put normal jump pack intercessors up to 90 points, you can't have them that close to Vanguard Vets in points. They need to show some sort of point of difference, I think. Whether I think it's right, that feels like what the justification is, and I'm alright with it. I've made some Inner Circle Task Force lists using them. They were okay. They were not Death Company with Inferno Pistols and Power Fists level of, oh, this is great, oh my god, I'm going to hurt you. But at the same time, they did a job, and they do fulfill a role. I look forward to when they redo the kit and then suddenly no one wants to take them in the way that they have been taking them, because they'll suddenly have some very minimal loadouts. But we'll see. And then the enhancements, we've got the one that really I think matters is the Fire Discipline going up to 40 points. And then the 2 Stormlance ones, they're little shifts, like Fainting Withdrawal, cool. It was probably a little bit overcosted, I think, but at the same time, if you've got 10 points spare, you'd probably take it now, I suppose. And Hunter's Instinct's going up to 25. We'll see if that really matters. It's just little shifts. And I think that combined with some of the changes to Space Wolves, where they've got things like Thunderwolf Cavalry have gone up in points, that then breaks some of those defined spammy kind of wolf jail, let's bring all the Thunderwolves lists. Great. Obviously, like, to me, if anything's been taken in units of max size of 3 of the unit, that tells me that there's something too efficient or optimum about that unit that it needs to be lowered a little bit, so that that becomes a question. It does sting, like Deathwing Knights. I've got my 3rd unit, I'm half painted. They're not necessarily going to hit the table altogether, but that's what happens when you try to chase the meta dragon, as they say. Right, what is next? So originally this was going to be the launch of a show going into how Space Marines play, going through very much like I did with Dark Angels 101, where it's going through what the characters are, what they kind of work well with and synergize with, obviously listing all the different units, but then saying these are the ones that I think you would probably take them with, and then going through all the units, explaining how they synergize, what are the units, how you might play them, use them style wise, like do they need to go to transport, do they need to be led, do they not require to be led, is there some value in that, and then obviously detachments and what units maybe lean more into those detachments, whether there's any kind of great archetypes that we're seeing. Like, obviously, if you'd said to me at the beginning of the Codex kind of run that one of the most popular versions of Vanguard would be Ultramarines with Uriel Ventress, I would have been like, square boots? Do they even still sell as model? But who knew? And that's the thing we're seeing. So yeah, those will be 3 big chunky videos. They're going to be somewhere down the pipeline because obviously I've got a lot of videos I'm churning out still. Got kill team stuff. We're doing lots of the live stuff. We're doing stuff for our YouTube members. But they will come out in the next couple of weeks. The first part hopefully should be by the end of the month-ish. Right, and then of course thank you guys for tuning in. If you can like the video, it'd be really appreciated. Obviously, if you really enjoyed the show, you found it really informative. The other videos we've done across the team, so obviously I've done the Space Marine stuff so far. Tom's done one about Gene Stealers. Davey's done a Bug Watch, one about the NIDs. If those have really been kind of cool, subscribe to us. We do this each Balance Dataslate, going through all the changes, trying to make them digestible, because looking sometimes at just a PDF full of all the different lines of like numbers with colours on them, without context, it's sometimes a little bit like, oh, what do I get out of this? And especially if it's not an army you play, it's like, I don't know. So we try to make that easy for you. And that's what the channel's very much about. And if you really enjoy that style of content, you can become a YouTube member. We do a lot of our kind of guide videos, kind of how to solve a specific problem in the game as a YouTube member's video first. Obviously, eventually they will come out for everyone, because we try not to paywall everything, because learning should be free. But yeah, if you want to support us as a YouTube member, it'd be much appreciated. And until next time, guys, see ya.